I run across some fascinating people in the course of my investigations who tell me many unusual stories. While on the trail of reports of UFO base locations, I met a young, very pretty blonde girl with almond-shaped eyes and small, perfect teeth, whose name was Bonnie. Bonnie had told me an incredible story and has related a volume of interesting information on Atlantis and Lemuria. Bonnie is sincere, cheerful and rational, and says she is a Lemurian born under the sign of Leo in 1951 in a city called Telos that was built inside an artificial dome-shaped cavern in the earth a mile or so beneath Mount Shasta, California. Bonnie, her mother, her father Ramu, her sister Judy, her cousins Lorraine and Matox live and move in our society, returning frequently to Telos for rest and recuperation. Bonnie relates that her people use boring machines to bore tunnels in the earth. These boring machines heat the rock to incandescence, then vitrify it, thus eliminating the need for beams and supports. A tube transit train system is used to connect the few Atlantean Lemurian cities that exist in various subterranean regions of our hemisphere. The tube trains are propelled by electromagnetic impulses up to speeds of 2,500 miles per hour. One tube connects with one of their cities in the Mato Grosso jungle of Brazil. The Lemurians have developed space travel, and some flying saucers come from their subterranean bases. Bonnie says her people are members of a federation of planets. They grow food hydroponically under full-spectrum lights with their gardens attended by automatons. The food and resources of Telos are distributed in plenty to the 1.5 million population that thrives on a no-money economy. Bonnie talks about history of the Uigas, Nagamayas, and the Quetzals, of which she is a descendant. She recounts the destruction of Atlantis and Lemuria and of a war between the two superpowers fought with advanced weaponry. She says the Atlanteans built a huge crystal-powered beam weapon that was used to control a small moon of Earth as a missile to be aimed at China, but their plans went awry and the moon split in two, coming down into the Atlantic north of Bermuda, deluging the remaining Isle of Atlantis. She claims her people are now part of a much greater underground kingdom called Aghata, ruled by a super race she calls Hyperbeings. I met Bonnie's cousin Matox, who, like her, is a strict vegetarian and holds the same attitudes concerning the motives of government. They constantly guard against discovery or intrusion. Their advanced awareness and technology helps them to remain vigilant. Will we openly meet these long-lost relatives of ours? Bonnie says yes, but this is part of her incredible mission. Her mission to warn those who will listen of the coming cataclysms that will culminate at the end of the century in a shift of the Earth's axis. After this catastrophe, she says, the world will be one, and the survivors will build a new world free of worry, poverty, disease, and exploitation. The world will exist on a higher plane of vibrations, and man will come to know his true history and heritage. Science fiction? Bonnie is a real person. Many have met her. Is she perpetrating a hoax? For what motive? She does not seek publicity, and I have a devil of a time getting her to meetings to talk with others, but she has done so. There has been little variation in her story or her answers in the past 3 years. She has given me excellent technical insight on the construction of a crystal-powered generator that extracts ambient energy. She has given me new insights on UFOs and their purpose in coming here. Bonnie's father, the Ramu, is 300 years old and a member of the ruling council of Telos. Many tunnels are unsafe and closed off. All tube transit tunnels are protected and are designed to eject uninvited guests. Does Bonnie have the answers that we are looking for? I don't know. I am not making the claims, nor can I provide proof. Bonnie says she would like to satisfy our need for proof and will work with me on a satisfactory answer to that problem, but she is unconcerned with whether people accept her or not. Bonnie is humorous and easygoing and well poised, yet sometimes she becomes brooding and mysterious. She says her people are busy planning survival centers for refugees. One of these is to be near Prescott, Arizona. Following is a question and answer session between Mr. Hamilton and Bonnie, which was done to answer even more questions about this underground world we are so intrigued by. Question: were there 10 races on Lemuria? Answer: they were called sub-races. There was only one race. Question: can you date that? Answer: that was approximately 200,000 years ago. Question: you once said that the early Lemurians come from the planet Aurora. Answer: yes, and at that time the sun, of Earth, was giving off entirely too much radiation, resulting in shorter lifespans. The hyperbeings went inside this planet. They entered at the polar entrances, inside of where there is another sun which has no radioactive effect. These people still live in there, in the major city of Shambhala. They are still ruled by the hereditary king of the world. The people who remained on top degenerated into what we call the 4th race. Question: did they continue to degenerate? Answer: they continued to degenerate. There came to be more differences in the races. They started mental degeneration on the point of warring on each other. Before, fighting was unheard of. Question: did they have technology at that time? Answer: at that time the technology was quite high. The Lemurians started in stature from about 12 feet to about 9 feet. The 4th race was about 9 feet tall. The people started taking on the color of the land. The Atlantean skins were taking on a reddish hue. Asian and Lemurian skins took on a yellowish hue. Note: Adam means red man. Question: okay, so we had some kind of war going on at that time? Answer: right. The 4th race, we started to degrade into the 5th race at the time the war started, approximately 25,000 years ago. At this time, Atlantis chose to break away from the motherland Mu. Atlantis was getting more and more vindictive. They were living under the law of the one God. The Lemurians were the major race at this time, which had developed into the Uyghurs, the Nagamayas, and the Quetzalcoatls. The Quetzals at this time started leaving Lemuria in droves. Question: where did they go? Answer: to North America, then on to the Scandinavian countries. Some of them went south into Central and South America, and some of the descendants are still there. Explorers have brought back records of white Indians. True. Question: do you know who Quetzalcoatl and Viracocha were? Answer: Quetzalcoatl was a Venusian. Viracocha was a Lemurian high priest who went to South America upon the destruction of Lemuria. Question: what sent Lemuria to the bottom, a war or natural catastrophe? Answer: it was the blowing out of the Archean gas chambers. When the Earth was forming, huge gas pockets were formed, cavities within the Earth, some of which were just a few feet wide, but thousands of miles long. The scientists started detecting the weakening of the Archean gas chambers on their instruments. This was about 15,000 years ago, and at that time the Earth's magnetic field was getting very erratic. Question: did you have contact with extraterrestrials at that time? Answer: at that time we were still in contact with the Federation. Lemuria and Atlantis were both members of the Federation. Question: did they have air travel and space travel? Answer: yes, they did. Atlantis and Lemuria could both travel to other planets. Question: What was it that destroyed Atlantis? Answer. After the destruction of Lemuria, which was caused by natural catastrophe, for a long time the planet was unstable, for about 200 or 300 years. The pyramids were built before the destruction of Lemuria. At this time, the Atlanteans were becoming difficult, and several of them, who believed in the law of the One, did not care for what the scientists were doing. The scientists were experimenting with monster crystals that had unbelievable power. Question. Were there any biological experiments like cloning or with DNA? Answer. Yes, there were. This had been going on for hundreds of years by that time. They were using the things as their slaves. Some people left Atlantis at this time and came to Mount Shasta, where the Lemurians had built a city called Telos. Question. Now the Atlanteans started experimenting with huge crystals. Were these the fire crystals? Answer. Yes, they generated cosmic energy. It is the cut of the crystal which causes the generation, wavelength. It draws out of the atmosphere, the energy, and generates into it a high force and higher vibration. It has no moving parts. The crystal has an inner fire. They change colors. The crystals the Atlanteans used built up energy they could not control. Question. Is this the secret of the power source on flying saucers? Answer. Yes, a lot of it is crystals, particularly the atmospheric vehicles. The planet-to-planet vehicles are driven by an iron-mercury engine. Spaceships can reach speeds way beyond light. They can enter hyperspace. You generate into the fourth dimension. This is controlled by an onboard computer that takes you into and out of hyperspace. I know this is a simplification. When you're on a ship going into hyperspace, you will hear this vibration and a loud screaming sound when you enter. Then you will hear nothing. I have had many correlations on this data and am researching it further towards a comprehensive theory of space travel. Question. Do you travel between galaxies? Answer. Yes, that is usually when you enter hyperspace, when you are going a far, far distance. Question. Have you heard any stories of any advanced beings out there? Answer. Yes, they are near the center of the universe. Question. What is at the center? Answer. We call it the seat of God, the generation of energy.